talked about DSA and the different sort of aspects that you already mentioned. I want to talk about your first experience first. That was basically Samsung Prism. So it would be awesome if you could explain how you came across that opportunity and very briefly explain the rounds and what sort of skill sets were required for that.
Right. So Samsung came to our college specifically for research and development internship, and this was a very huge opportunity. Like I knew from my seniors that Samsung generally comes for their prison projects, so I had been preparing my DSA consistently by this point, and I made sure that I had solid projects that demonstrated my coding skills. And apart from the projects, I also had a few research publications, so that also helped me a lot. So initial screening was actually based upon your resume and your CGPA that was done by our college itself, and even the interview process was also taken by our college. And they just generally went through your entire resume and they asked you the questions on the things that you have done by now. Yeah, so I think that was like the general process. However, my process was a bit different because I was directly shortlisted by the university, but there were also people who went through the general process, and the general process basically involved multiple rounds. There were coding rounds where they had like the DSA fundamentals, array, string, trees, DP, and the usual suspects. And then after that there was technical interviews, and where they asked deeper questions into problems solving approaches and then optimizations. And they also asked about resume based questions and whether people had publications or not. So that was the general process.
Okay. Now let's move towards Barclays because I think Samsung Prison it was a more research oriented internship. So I think it would also depend highly on the publications and the things that you mentioned related to research. Now let's come to Barclays because I think Barclays is a more wider opportunity. I guess like something but Samsung research internship is something different. I don't think that's everyone really wants to go into research or do such an internship. So now let's come to Barclays. Since Barclays is a financial company, the package and all, people are interested in that. The package and all is also pretty good due to the fact that it's, a financial company. So it would be awesome if again you could take me through the rounds in Barclays and anything specific that you remember from their interviews because the general process is almost the same in most of the companies. So if there's any special, process or thing that you remember or and another maybe a mistake you made and a learning out of that in the interview process at Barclays.
Right. So Barclays was actually a really interesting story. In my third year, I got into this hackathon. Sorry, not third year, second year. Yeah, in my second year, I got into this hackathon called Hacko Hire with the Chennai Barclays team, and somehow after our idea submission round, we got in, and we were the only second year students at that time.
Mm.
And honestly, I was not really about to participate, but something made me think maybe I should just give it a shot. So we were invited to Chennai Barclays. We didn't win the hackathon, but because of our performance, we got the chance to sit directly for the interviews without attending the online assessment. So that is how I got in as a summer intern. So the interview process at Barclays, like they had a very good mix. There was definitely DSA rounds where they tested coding fundamentals, but they also cared a lot about your projects and your ability to work in teams. So they asked about the hackathon, what my role was, how we collaborated, how we handled challenges. They wanted to see that I wasn't just a coder, but just a coder who could solve algorithmic problems, but also someone who can just contribute to a real team and build actual products. So the behavioral aspect was weighed more heavily as compared to Samsung.
Okay.
Yes, that was it. Yes, DSA was definitely non-negotiable, and also you should have a very good communication skills.
Okay. That sounds pretty interesting. And I think that's why it's important to, people probably got a lesson that take part in hackathons. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Even if you don't, win or anything like that, you probably end up building some sort of product or gain some learning. And
That
you
is
never
also
know.
true. Amazon internship is also a result of a hackathon.
Actually, I'd love to know the story in more detail. Like, it would be great if the audience knows about that story, because that was also very captivating and sort of unique. I hadn't heard of such a story before, like your story. So yeah, that would be great if you could shed some light on the Amazon's wild story.
Right. So similar to how I got into Barclays, Amazon also happened through a hackathon called Hackon. I am very big believer that hackathons matter, and this was another proof of that. The hackathon has the first round is an online assessment. Then it proceeds to the actual hackathon. Though I did not make it to the actual hackathon, but because I performed very well in my OA online assessment, I got an invitation on my mail that if I would be interested in participating in the interview process for the Amazon internship. So after filling that Microsoft form which we received, I got another OA by Amazon. So this was like a general OA round. It had fundamentals as well as the coding questions. And after that, I got a mail that I've cleared the OA and I got invited for an interview. There was only one round of interview, and the
Okay.
interview had two DSA, heavily DSA based questions. It was graph questions, I remember. So yeah, I mean that was the reason I got into Amazon is actually because I participated in the hackathon. So that is also, a pretty good thing that sometimes you just think that, why should I be participating in the hackathon? It's not gonna benefit me in any way, which I actually thought when I was trying to participate in the Barclays one. But they do matter. They matter a lot, especially the company based hackathons always have an opportunity associated with it.
Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. And I remembered an interesting ad. I don't know if you know about it. I think there was this ad by some company. It was this Dhoni ad basically. I think there's this child who was going to be born, and then he goes to God that, um, you know, I don't bat in my house or something like that. And then the God sort of explaining to him, you'll get, you have a football, you'll become a goalkeeper, then a wicket keeper, and then you'll actually get into cricket and all of that. And that sort of just reminded me about that nostalgic ad. If you might know it, because it's important. Your goal was like taking part in the hackathon, but it really opened doors for you. If you hadn't taken part in the hackathon, thinking that I don't know anything or I'm not ready at this point of time, I don't think these opportunities would come your way. So to observe that, you mentioned that you cleared the way around and pretty easily. Like, it sounds very easy, though that's probably not the case, because you mentioned you were able to clear the way around in all the companies. They were DSA heavy at times, and core subject heavy as well. But how did
Right.
you like prepare for them? Because it sounds very easy that you're acing all of the OA rounds, but I think in order to clear the OA rounds, first of all, you need to have that much depth in your DSA prep and core subject prep. And after that, you must perform under pressure at times, because there's a time constraint. You can get different questions that you haven't particularly seen at times. There are certain changes that you're asked to make. So how did you prepare for these OA rounds, and yeah, and how did you prepare for the core subjects? Because that is something that we ignore at times, even when it is taught in our college. At times, we sort of just study, for the exams point of view, and then we forget whatever we studied.
So DSA is absolutely critical. There is no other way around it. every single interview I went through, whether it be Samsung, Barclays, Amazon, even the ones I was rejected in, Google, Intuit, they all had a very heavy DSA round. It's a like again last time I mentioned it's a common language of tech interviews. So you can have good projects. You would have great skills, good your achievements, extracurriculars. But if you can't solve a DSA problems, then there is no point of it. Like it's the the bottom layer, the foundation layer, which we say. So DSA is definitely a must. When it comes to my DSA preparation, I had a very as last time I mentioned,
Yeah, correct.
the I used to do is I used to switch on to resources very quickly. But when I started doing DSA dedicatedly, I started following a very structured approach. That is, mainly using just one resource. So the resource which I used for my preparation was Striver's A to Z sheet, and I wouldn't just solve problems randomly.
Hmm.
The sheet has categories being made for you, so it's
Correct.
much easier, like uh, you would have like a sliding window as one
Correct.
pattern, and you would have another pattern. So I would follow it pattern wise. I would do the questions, and after I was there is another thing that I used to do is I would start by taking arrays. For example, I'll take arrays in the sheet. Whatever easy questions are mentioned, I'll do all the easy ones. Then I would switch on to next topic. I would go to strings, do all the easy questions, go to maybe graph,
Or linked
DP,
list.
do
Hmm.
once, right? After that, I would again start over with the sheet, and this time I would do all the medium ones, and then again I'll start with the sheet and do all the hard ones. So
Okay.
that is one thing that I used to do. And apart from that, I also used another resource, which was Neat Code. So
Hmm.
Neat Code is very good for pattern recognition.
Correct.
So two were like the main resources which I heavily relied on. For the CS fundamentals, I would, I would just go on YouTube, and I would probably, before my interviews, I always used to do this one thing is I would play a one shot of all the CS fundamentals, like OS first, and then after that DBMS, a one shot just for the revision. But during when I was preparing, I used to read articles on Geeks for Geeks as well as Interview Bit. So they are very
Hmm.
good for CS fundamentals.
Okay, yeah. And guys, she was just watching the crash course for revision, not for studying one day before the interviews. Like she mentioned, she went into depth with these different sources, and there are a lot of sources now that are available. But I think sticking to a couple of sources is definitely going to take you to a better place, because if you're constantly moving around, you we even have a habit of moving around LLM. So we go to ChatGPT, we don't like its answer, we move to Perplexity, and then we end up having too many resources, and that's probably not good in the long run. And what did you do when you couldn't solve the questions that, like, in very short, if you could mention that? And did you ever people have this habit of cheating nowadays on the way around and things like that, or cheating on the contest, where they're just even while solving, they're just copying pasting on Chat GPT, and then getting that I've solved 100 questions, I've solved 200 questions. So yeah, about these two aspects of what to do when you can't solve it, and how not to just solve DSA for the numbers.
So, coming to cheating, I would first like to say that even if you cheat over there, what's the point? In a longer run, the cheating won't really help you that much. You might be able to clear your OA, but then you are definitely going to lag in your interviews. Even if you do clear interview, then when you are given a problem, a real life problem or real life use cases when you are in an internship, how are you going to solve that? So yes, I think, and the amount of energy or the amount of time you're gonna spend on uh thinking about how to cheat and from where to cheat and stuff like that, I think it's much better to contribute that time to actually learning, which is definitely much more beneficial. So yeah, coming back to the other question. I'm sorry, what was the other question?
I think the other question was, what do you do when uh,
Yeah.
you can't
So
find the solution?
right. So I have this one habit which I do is I take a question and I only spend based on the complexity. If it's an easy question, I would not spend 20 minutes. If it's a medium, I won't spend more than 35 minutes. If it's hard, won't spend more than 40 minutes. That is also like extreme limits. So if a question is consuming more time than that, I would just go over, look at a video, understand the problem, and then come back to it, or and also make a note that this was the question I was not able to solve, because it's meaningless to be spending very huge amount of time in a particular question, which sometimes it's, you'll see when you're solving DSA, you'll see sometimes there would be questions that are going to have a certain approach which you might not be aware about.
Hmm.
Like in linked list, there is this
Fast
slow
pointer.
pointer concept. If you're not aware about this concept, then you won't be able to solve this question. So there is no point of brainstorming for 2 3 hours over one question, which if you would have just went over the video and got to know about that slow pointer fast pointer concept, with that concept you'll be easily able to solve so many questions. So next time you're gonna get a certain type of question which would have this approach, you're gonna just think over it and you'll just know that this is what it is going to be. So yeah, you should always have like a habit that this amount of time is only what I will be spending on brainstorming. If I'm not able to get the approach, then I would just look at a video or any sort of resource.
Okay. And it's kind of like, learning the technique on in mathematics. Like if you don't know the concept, like even if you do anything, it's not going to, pop up in your mind or something like that. And to, now that I think projects played an important aspect as well. That is probably why you're able to do well in these hackathons, or at least even get your resume shortlisted, because companies do look for two or three, decent projects. And in the age of AI, they definitely look for something unique, because you can't be building simple clones or all of that. That is decent for understanding concepts, but you need some sort of unique factor. So would it be fine if I share your GitHub, if there's anything you want to share on that? I can share my screen and show some other projects or something like that, if there's anything you want to share from that. So is that if that's okay, I'll just share my screen and
Sure, sure.
show your GitHub to Hina's profile. So yeah, but my first will just go through it a bit. It's no, we're not trying to stalk, but it looks kind of weird. So first of all, like something that I can observe directly is that it's very well organized. Like she mentioned what she's doing, all her achievements. Like these things are default pretty much. But then over here you can see the README file. It's very visually appealing, where you can, at a glance, I can understand what are the skills that she's good with. And then the Hacktoberfest, she took part in that. Uh, Other thing would be your main other profiles. That is also important to mention. And yeah, this is a contribution, things like that. So what would be your favorite project, if there's one project that you really love, or if there's something that people can learn from that, in very short, if there's something you remember that you would like to
Okay,
maybe share? Yeah.
I think you can just scroll down. You can just take it from my pinned project as well. That's fine. So there is this one project. It's called AI Review. So that is also pretty cool project. Basically, this is on the industry use case level. What happens is sometimes
Mhm.
uh, in industry use case you need to have a manual reviewer who is going to sit and who is going to manually review all your PRs.
Yeah.
You have had like is there any indentation mistake or is there any syntactical mistake, so you need to have one person for that.
Yeah.
So I basically automated it, and in order to automate it, what happens now is that whenever you are pushing a PR, the AI automatically analyzes what was the previous code base look like and what changes did you make, what line of changes you
Okay.
made. only analyze those changes, and it would automatically comment that if your PR looks good to me, or these are the certain changes that you need to make. So it basically shortens the time of review, and there is like no need for a manual review. Then there
Okay.
is another project, it's Flight Guard. It is also pretty good. So in this project, what happens is basically this is the project I made in my second year. Yeah, you can just play
Yeah.
the video. It will pretty much sum up what exactly this
Yeah. So
is.
as we can see, basically you enter your flight number when you're arriving. You can check in whether I'm checking in the luggage or not. And pretty cool UI first of all. That's really seems like one of those cool games. Yeah. So it tells you have a chance of making your flight or not. You have a 49%, so you probably have to hurry and go through staff traffic and all that. And it's a pretty cool, UI and all of that. Where it actually
Yeah,
tells
it's
you how
very
you can get there. Yeah,
when you are doing a project, just make sure you have, a short video in your README itself. So whenever, like, an HR is looking, because that is how an HR can analyze your project. They can just see
correct.
the video. This is what it is doing.
Mm,
So even during internship, a lot of times happen is that you have done certain project during your internship, and at home it was working very well, and in the meeting next day you have to present it and the code just broke.
okay.
So
Yeah, so you have some sort of reference point at least. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, if you have a video in advance, it can save you a lot of embarrassments.
Okay. So these were some of the projects. Do you have any LinkedIn advice, or is this? Or because I think from GitHub we have basically understood
Then
your projects and things like that. So
LinkedIn very, 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 very crucial.
I'll
uh
actually share show your LinkedIn profile if you don't mind.
sure.
I'll just show it. Yeah. So this is a LinkedIn profile. So as you can see, good great banner over here for a professional photo, and then this is pretty like it's filled up for most people are probably growing, so you can go over here, and then yeah, and then other about me, and yeah. So yeah, whatever you want to mention about LinkedIn, I'll go to that. If there's a post or something or anything you want to mention about you know
Right,
your LinkedIn page.
right. Right. So there are few things that I haven't even mentioned in my resume. For example, at Climate Labs, I was a creative intern, and then I was at a Girls Script. I
Hmm.
was a open source contributor and mentor. And there is another freelance
Yeah.
software. I was a freelance software developer. I've also mentioned it. So
Yeah.
basically, LinkedIn can also be a place where there are a lot of things which you can't fit into your resume, but you can definitely put it up on your LinkedIn. Whatever you do, even the smallest contribution you make, you try to put it over the LinkedIn, because nowadays HR focus more on your LinkedIn than your actual resume.
Correct.
So that is like very important, that you should have a very good, very visually appealing LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn has helped me a lot in its own way. Like, even now that now I have an internship at Amazon, but before that I would get direct inbox messages from recruiters that we have this opportunity and would you like to apply to that, or we would love to have you, are you open for an interview? So you directly get opportunities over your inbox.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
So that is one very pretty cool thing about it. And apart from that, you get to connect with a lot of like-minded people. So that is also pretty cool thing, that
Yeah.
because you are basically who you hang out with. I truly believe in that. So
Yeah.
that LinkedIn itself can create a very positive community around you.
Yeah, and also good for like your brand value at least because it's easier to see everything at one place. Like you can check out her posts, you can get an idea about her experiences and things like that, and you have to do a good job maintaining it. So to I would say like we have done a really good job in like overall maintaining it. All the experiences she's done it in like a bulleted fashion. So anyone who even if they don't know anything about tech, they can get some sort of basic idea about what she's done, what are her certificates. She's uploaded her projects Those are pretty cool. Even Monto called tree search. This was something that we learned in college, and no one really pays too much attention. That is what I've observed for this topic. And then she used that to build the chess engine. So that was pretty much all about LinkedIn. Uh, to now go to the rapid fire session, the school which I've started from the last couple of podcasts. So I'm gonna give a simple question. You have to answer without thinking, and let's see how it goes. So are you ready for it?
Yes,
Yeah. So let's start. So first and foremost, the most basic question: dark mode or light mode?
definitely dark mode. So
Okay.
sorry, I don't burn my eyes. I love my eyes too much. Definitely dark mode.
Yeah. What is your go-to programming language, and what is the programming language that you really found difficult or hate?
C++ is my go-to. This is actually the first language that I've learned. I do my DSA in C++. Python as well. My projects are mostly built upon Python, so that is also a very good language. It's very easy to learn as well. The language that I find difficult is Java.
Yeah.
Yeah, Java it is. I get confused a lot with the Java syntax. So earlier, initially, when I was trying to start DSA, I made up my mind that I'm gonna do DSA in Java. I'll be that person, but unfortunately, that didn't work out. So
Yeah.
yeah, I find Java pretty difficult. I would love to start over once again with Java.
Yeah. And that's probably the spirit that it takes. Uh, Sleeping in a hackathon or actually staying up the entire night and trying to, build something. Or
Okay.
sleeping for some time, not the entire night, sleeping for some time versus pulling an
Okay.
all-nighter.
So the Barclays hackathon that I went to, I think that is the coolest hackathon I've ever went to. It was a 48-hour hackathon in Barclays campus inside. Um, so yes, initially you're gonna have like a lot of energy. You're gonna be, yeah, you know what? We're gonna win this, that, and then food comes, and after consuming food, that food after food sleep hits. So,
So it's not
uh,
about
yeah,
preference anymore.
it's not about preference anymore. It's just bound to happen.
Okay. Who's your favorite or number one person in the technology field who you really look up to? That like straight up comes
Well,
to your mind.
there are a lot. But I think I would again mention Striver. Again, not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored. We mentioned him twice, but
Striver has helped me. Raj actually. Raj
yeah,
have
his name
helped
is Raj. I think most of the
me.
people don't know about that.
So yeah, Raj have really helped me, uh, a lot, a lot in his own ways. His videos have helped me a lot. So
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Best working location so far, or a place that feels like home. So you'll get four options: Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, or I don't know if there's any other place you've worked. Uh, I think I missed Hyderabad. Yeah, Hyderabad. Like out of these four,
Yeah, that is a very, very tough question.
but still, if you
Uh,
had to make a choice,
I think I had the best memories that I have made was in Pune. So I would like to say Pune. But Bangalore is comparatively newer to me, so can't
so you
really
can't really
say.
comment. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Hyderabad as well, I stayed for a very less duration and stayed long time ago. Pune is relatively newer, and Chennai is, 4 years I have spent in Chennai. So
Still
definitely,
close to your heart,
yeah,
probably.
that is very close to Matt. Chennai is definitely very close to Matt. But in terms of memory wise, I think Pune.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Like especially the fact that I also come from Pune, so it sounds good that someone liked Pune. Okay. Next question would be, what is your biggest mistake you made in your first year, even if it's just one line, or one mistake to avoid in your first year?
Thinking CGPA doesn't matter. Yeah.
No.
thinking CGPA doesn't matter. It does. It does a lot. I think earlier I didn't used to take my academics that seriously, and then after I realized the importance of it, I started taking it very seriously. So yeah.
Okay, this is somewhat a unique question. If you are an LLM, what LLM would be the closest to your personality? Or if you were, I don't know, like how to state the question, but uh, you can think of it as like go to LLM instead of like if you don't want to answer that.
I think Claude.
Okay,
Claude. I think it's I think Claude is a bit witty in its own way. So I
yeah,
think I resonate a lot with Claude.
yeah. Okay, so I think that is pretty much all that we wanted to cover in the rapid one. Yeah, just one last question. Best memory in college and best memory of your internship so far.
Best memory in college. This is very hard
There's
question.
too many, so you can't. Okay, so let's stick to the internship thing because in college there's probably way too many memories.
Uh,
Like,
I think during my Barclays internship, we had this very good, very cool party. It was Bollywood party, and we had to dress up as our favorite Bollywood character. So I went in as Kareena Kapoor Pooh character.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that was probably one of my most favorite memory, and also in that sense because I was very new to the team.
yeah.
So
So it was a good
I
bonding sort of.
very exactly, I was very
Yeah,
nervous. And after that Bollywood party, I got very close and I opened up to almost everybody. So that was definitely my most favorite memory of Pune. And then like late night ice creams was also one of my most
yeah. Plus,
favorite.
so we'll move on to the Q and A session. So first of all,
Right.
there's this question, the school question from Payal Tanpure. So she asked, "What are the expectation of companies during the interview and how to prepare for them?" So you can talk about expectations. So what is expected from a fresher or a intern?
So the companies know that you are a fresher. They don't expect you to be a person who just knows it all. Like they know that you are just a fresher and you need to learn a lot of things, but they are definitely seeking somebody who has that passion or have that eagerness to learn.
Yeah.
Like you should be, and you should also be a very fast learner. So
Okay.
that is, I think, something companies look for, and also how good a communicator you are and how well you can work with the team. So that ability is also very important and something the companies do look for.
Okay. Then
Apart
there, yeah.
from
Apart from, sorry, I think I cut you off. Apart from you're
your
mentioning
DSA.
some. Okay, apart from DSA. And then there's this other cool question. Some of the questions are repeated. So for Pranab Bhale Rao, thanks for asking a question, but I think we already covered that. So he's talking about how to build a logic in DSA. So I'll attach the timestamp so you can go to that. Another question was from Shubham. So you had a couple of questions. I'll get the best question out of that. How did you decide which project was strong enough on your resume? And how should a student judge whether the project that they have is strong enough for their resume?
So I think I would tell you the best practice which you can do is that have so you are a fresher, so you're open to, if you are getting an opportunity of a back end, you're open to that. A front end, you're open to that. AIML, you're open to that. So just have different projects. Like you have an AIML based project, have a front end based project, back end based project, and depending upon the company, use those projects on the resume. Check the JD, see what they're looking for, and make sure the projects which you are mentioning have that already. So I think that is how you can decide which is the best project to put up.
Okay, there are a lot more questions, but mostly repeated. So I'll just mention the names of Raj, Parth, Tejas, Kaushik, and another Parth. Thank you so much for putting your question. I think most of the questions have been answered within the podcast so far. So you can definitely check out the timestamp, and that will hopefully help you out. And if there are any other questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section or directly maybe DM any of us. And yeah, so Tuhina, it was a very raw and it's experience, and you can feel the energy, right? Where the person in front of you is actually trying to give good advice to people. They'll actually being raw, unfiltered, not just giving random advice that they didn't follow themselves. So first of all, thank you so much for sparing your time through your internship. I know it's probably very hectic, busy. You have a lot of things probably going in the background. So I'd like to thank you. And if there's a one message that you want to send to the audience, or one quote if you have, that could help people out, just a closure from your end.
I would say is that, this is not just to them as well, but also something that I would also tell my first year self is that don't stress too much, but also don't waste a lot of your time. You are going to face rejection. I have faced a lot of rejections, and they're going to hurt, but they're also going to be, the best thing that happened to you, because they'll push you to actually prepare properly and start DSA early, be consistent with it, take hackathon seriously from day one. They're going to open a lot of doors that you can't even imagine right now. Build a network on LinkedIn and with your seniors. Those connections are invaluable. And most importantly, stop comparing yourself to others. Your journey is your own. And you're going to end up exactly where you need to be. So stay curious, work hard, don't give up when things are tough. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And do watch a
basically.
couple of podcasts if you like some. Not mentioning my channel, but if there's anything that you like in the tech domain. Yeah, I think the question I recalled I was going to ask it in the rapid fire. So the last question, just to end the entire podcast, is what do you prefer, like hosting someone for a podcast, or hosting an event, or actually being the guest on a podcast?
I think I would love to say being a guest because I've never had any experience of hosting anything. And I love being your guest. I love this experience. This is also first time for me, so definitely
Yeah,
being a guest. Love to do this again.
yeah. So thank you, Tohina, once again. It was great talking to someone from SRM Chennai as well. Uh, Probably one of my first podcasts from people in the college. Hopefully, I have helped out people in your college, in my circle, and especially people that tune into our podcast. So, guys, yeah, feel free to tune into our podcast, give feedback if you have any. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn. You can follow Tuhina on LinkedIn, and if there's any doubts, you can try to relay it through me if that is possible, or you can also direct reach out to Tuhina on her DMs and add any comments that you have, any queries that you had. And with that, we'd like to end the first podcast of the year, and wishing everyone again a happy new year once again, and hopefully this podcast helps a lot of people. And once again, thank you so much for sparing your time and getting through with it. So yeah.
Thank you so much.